The Renaissance was a period of great change and creativity in Europe. It marked the transition from the Middle Ages to the modern era. The word Renaissance means rebirth. It refers to the renewed interest in classical learning and culture after the Middle Ages. The Renaissance began in Italy in the 14th century. It spread to the rest of Europe over the next 2 centuries. This period witnessed a flowering of art, literature, science, and philosophy. The Renaissance was a time of great intellectual and artistic ferment. It laid the foundation for the modern world. New ideas and discoveries transformed the way people viewed themselves and the universe. The Renaissance was more than just a revival of ancient Greek and Roman culture. It was a time of innovation and exploration. It laid the groundwork for the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment. One of the most important aspects of the Renaissance was the revival of interest in classical learning. During the Middle Ages, much of the knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome had been lost. However, this began to change during the Renaissance. Scholars rediscovered ancient texts and translated them into Latin and other languages. This rediscovery of classical knowledge had a profound impact on Renaissance thought. The ancient Greeks and Romans had made significant advances in art, literature, philosophy, and science. Renaissance thinkers and artists drew inspiration from these ancient civilizations. Architects studied Roman ruins and incorporated classical elements into their buildings. Sculptors studied Greek statues and tried to imitate their realism and beauty. The classical revival was a key factor in the development of Renaissance culture. Humanism was a key intellectual movement during the Renaissance. Humanists emphasized the importance of human reason and experience. They believed in the potential of individuals to achieve great things. Humanists studied classical literature, history, and philosophy. They sought to apply the wisdom of the ancients to contemporary issues. They emphasized the importance of education, critical thinking, and civic virtue. Humanism placed a new emphasis on the individual and human potential. It encouraged people to explore the world around them and to question traditional ways of thinking. This focus on human experience and potential marked a significant shift from the medieval worldview, which often emphasized the afterlife and the limitations of earthly existence. The Renaissance witnessed a growing interest in secular matters. This means that people were increasingly concerned with worldly affairs rather than just religious matters. This shift towards secularism was a gradual process. It was influenced by a number of factors, including the rediscovery of classical learning and the growth of trade and commerce. The church remained a powerful force in society. However, people began to question the church's authority on some matters. This led to a more secular outlook where reason and observation were valued alongside faith. The rise of secularism did not mean a rejection of religion. Rather, it reflected a growing interest in human affairs and the natural world. This shift in perspective had a profound impact on the development of Renaissance culture and paved the way for future changes in European society. The Renaissance coincided with the Age of Exploration. This was a time of great voyages of discovery. European explorers sailed to new lands and continents. They were driven by a thirst for knowledge, wealth, and adventure. One of the most famous explorers of this era was Christopher Columbus. In 1492, he sailed west across the Atlantic Ocean in search of a new route to Asia. He landed in the Americas, although he initially believed he had reached the East Indies. The Age of Exploration had a profound impact on Europe. It led to the discovery of new lands, peoples, and cultures. It also led to the growth of trade and the exchange of ideas between Europe and the rest of the world. The Renaissance witnessed a revolution in architecture. Architects like Filippo Brunelleschi drew inspiration from classical Roman buildings. They developed new techniques and styles. One of the most impressive architectural achievements of the Renaissance was the dome of the Florence Cathedral. Brunelleschi designed this dome without the use of traditional scaffolding. It was an engineering marvel of its time. This dome became a symbol of the Renaissance spirit of innovation and achievement. Renaissance architecture emphasized symmetry, proportion, and classical elements like columns, arches, and domes. It moved away from the soaring heights and pointed arches of Gothic architecture, embracing a more human-centered and geometrically balanced style. The Renaissance produced some of the greatest artists in history. Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo were two of the most famous artists of this period. Leonardo was a true Renaissance man. He was a painter, sculptor, inventor, and scientist. Michelangelo was a master sculptor, painter, and architect. His most famous works include the Statue of David and the ceiling frescoes of the Sistine Chapel in Rome. These masterpieces reflect the Renaissance ideals of humanism, realism, and artistic excellence. The High Renaissance, marked by the careers of artists like Leonardo and Michelangelo, represented the culmination of Renaissance artistic ideals. Artists achieved new levels of realism, anatomical accuracy, and emotional depth in their works. Section 8. A window into reality, perspective in Renaissance art. One of the most important innovations of Renaissance art was the use of linear perspective. This technique allowed artists to create more realistic and three-dimensional paintings. They used mathematical principles to create the illusion of depth and space on a flat surface. The discovery of perspective was a major breakthrough in the history of art. It allowed artists to depict the world around them with greater accuracy and realism. Renaissance artists used perspective to create breathtaking scenes that seemed to extend far beyond the canvas. Section 9. Spreading knowledge, the printing revolution. The invention of the printing press was one of the most important events of the Renaissance. Johannes Gutenberg, a German goldsmith, invented the printing press with movable type in the mid-15th century. This invention revolutionized the way books were produced. Before the printing press, books were copied by hand. This was a slow and laborious process. The printing press allowed books to be produced much more quickly and cheaply. This led to a dramatic increase in the availability of books. The printing press had a profound impact on Renaissance society. It made it possible to spread knowledge and ideas more easily and widely. This helped to fuel the intellectual and cultural revolution that was taking place. Section 10. Unveiling the universe, scientific breakthroughs. The Renaissance was a time of great scientific discovery. Scientists began to challenge the theories of the ancient Greeks and Romans. They made important discoveries in astronomy, anatomy, and other fields. Nicolaus Copernicus, a Polish astronomer, proposed a heliocentric model of the solar system. This model placed the Sun, rather than the Earth, at the center of the universe. This revolutionary idea challenged the long-held geocentric view and paved the way for modern astronomy. Andreas Vesalius, a Flemish physician, revolutionized the study of anatomy. He conducted dissections of human bodies and created detailed anatomical drawings. His work corrected many errors in ancient anatomical texts and laid the foundation for modern medicine. Section 11. A legacy of innovation, the enduring impact of the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a period of great transformation and achievement. It left an enduring legacy on European culture and knowledge. The Renaissance marked a turning point in European history. It was a time when new ideas and values emerged. The Renaissance emphasized the importance of human reason, observation, and the natural world. It paved the way for the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment. The Renaissance continues to inspire us today. Its art, literature, and ideas remind us of the power of human creativity and the importance of critical thinking. The Renaissance reminds us that we can achieve great things when we embrace